This is the Aunty M Brain Tumours talk show. It's a show full of informative chat and inspirational messages. The Aunty M Brain Tumours talk show on podcast.
Hello, with me, Eileen.
Claire. We have an interview with Robert and his wife, Carol. We're going to be speaking about what they do. Hello. Oh, hi, Robert.
How you doing?
Oh, that was good. There was no ring on this side.
No.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Robert and Carol.
I was diagnosed in March. I had a sort of 5 visits to the doctors first, and they went through everything from having wax in my ears to an ear infection, an ears disease, tinnitus. And then eventually they thought, let's do a scan. And then they told me I'd got a brain tumour. So that was quite a shock. And then I was transferred to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and I was put into the care of Professor Crochet, and he saw me and decided he needed to do something fairly quickly. I was operated on June 23rd, radio surgery, which is okay, but there are some side effects. The two things really that have kept me on track, and one is having a very strong faith, which I have, and also a fairly positive mental attitude. And those two things have put me straight, really. Without that, I think you could easily give up, couldn't you?
Yeah, no, definitely.
When things get tough. But one of the problems that I've had is actually in the benefit system, because I've been told by my doctor that I should medically retire. I find it very difficult to stand up, all the usual things that go with brain tumours. And I applied for personal independence payments. I know now from experience, this is an absolute minefield for people with brain tumours, because with brain tumour, it's a hidden disability, and a lot of people do not understand brain tumours. I'm sure you may have experience of that. When I was treated in the A&E department, the doctor actually said to me, Mr. Shaw, I'm really sorry, but I don't have any in-depth knowledge on brain tumours. This was in the A&E department of Parliament Hospital. And in the Midlands area, most of the expertise seems to be at the QE. That's where they tend to go. And 2 weeks ago, I had what I thought was a mini stroke. My left eye just closed on my face when I was on the other left-hand side. I went to the doctor, and he said to me, look, take this lecture to the QE now, because this is where they've got your notes, and don't go to your nearest hospital, which was Heartland. So we went to the QE and we waited about 4 hours, and eventually saw somebody that knew what they were talking about, and just confirmed that it wasn't a stroke. It was called something. What was it called, Carol? TIA, which is a disruption in the brain, which caused my face to shut down on the left-hand side. Sure. It's interesting. So we do need, right, in the NHS to get more knowledge on brain tumours. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And then when you come to personal independence payments, the people that deal with it are a complete bunch of idiots, because the actual paperwork that you complete is very complex in the first place, and it doesn't really take into account some of the symptoms that you will get. With brain tumours, we were turned down twice.
Yeah.
They said no chance. So eventually, one of the support workers at the charity actually put me in touch with CAB in Birmingham, and they funded some Macmillan advisors at the Citizens Advice Bureau in Birmingham, and we went to see one of them. And we then started the appeal process, because what they do, you complete the paperwork, they obviously turn you down, and then they give you an opportunity to appeal against that, which again is a complete joke, because basically it's a phone call from somebody that says, what do you want to appeal about? And then you try and explain to them, and they haven't got a clue. So eventually we'll go to a tribunal, and we were prepared to go to a tribunal. We completed all the paperwork, which again is a little bit stressful.
Yes, it's very stressful.
The CAB people were able to help us with that paperwork. That was sent in, and then I think the Department of Pensions then have an opportunity to review the file again, and they decided I was eligible for the standard level of personal independence payments. But the CAB, when they did their assessment, said I should have been getting the enhanced payment.
Right.
So they've now advised me to appeal again against the standard personal independence entitlement in order to get the enhanced. But our argument is, actually 60% of people that are diagnosed with brain tumours don't survive more than 12 months anyway. Now, our process has been taken 10 months. Sometimes I can't retain information.
Yeah.
I remember trying to walk home once and nearly disappearing over a hedge because my balance just when my legs went. And they don't see that. They
No.
don't see when I was in the supermarket and I don't know what happened, but next thing I know, I was being taken home by the security staff because I couldn't cope with what was happening in the supermarket. I don't know what it was, but whether it was the lights or whatever. But these are things that really change the way that you live. My life will never be the same again, having had this tumour, and nor will yours, Claire. And it's so unfair.
Yeah.
Because there's such a lack of knowledge, and because tumours are so rare, that they try and get away with not paying you the personal independence payments because they're trying to keep the bills. And I know the charity are trying their best, and I've been on West Midlands Radio a couple of times now, and they've been trying to help us out as well. And the Department of Works and Pensions actually came onto that program and said that they were looking to get an answer or an assessment or whatever after 16 weeks of an application. Now, 10 months after our application, we never had an assessment of anybody. And even when they send somebody round apparently for an assessment, a lot of them don't understand brain tumours anyway.
No.
Carol, how have you felt with everything that's happened with Robert?
When Robert was first diagnosed, obviously that's when the bombshell hit.
Yeah.
And had we known what we were going to have to face at that time, we probably would have pushed to seek more advice early on. Obviously, it's been a life-changing experience, as Robert has said.
Yeah.
With regards to finances, before all of this, obviously, Robert and I are both self-employed. Robert is a fully qualified financial advisor. He deals with advice for wills and trusts and lasting powers of attorney, which obviously he's had to take very much a back seat in that business now because he just can't concentrate or spend the time at the office to continue the business fully.
Yeah.
And I'm also an advisor. I to give debt advice and also debt education and help people in financial crisis. And because of our involvement with the brain tumour community, which we've become heavily involved in through the various different charities and events, we're now finding that there's a whole community, if you like, of people who are suffering terribly financially, all down to the horrendous delays in the benefit system. The government quoted to us that all benefits, especially the PIP, should be processed within 14 to 16 weeks, which I think is a figure, I don't quite know where they've got that from, but in reality, from the people that we've spoken to, that figure is more months than weeks, to be quite honest with you. And when people are diagnosed with brain tumours, quite often if they're employed, then they have to have quite a lot of time off work for treatments and what have you. But in the longer term, many of them have to give up their job and therefore lose an income. So you can imagine if someone in a family is the main breadwinner and they're the sufferer and they've lost their income, then the whole family is affected, which has devastating effects both on their quality of life and also their general well-being.
Yeah. As a lady, I won't give her full name out, called Catherine, that came on to Claire's Aunty M and said she's really glad this is being highlighted today on the programme. The whole process is utterly soul-destroying and brought me close to a breakdown. Currently receiving nothing as I can't face it, which is quite often the case. We've had a lot of people say they just can't
deal with it.
They can't cope with it. And it's nice to know that we can put them onto you or some of the charities that will help them because they're not given any details or contact details. There's another lady here, Sharon. She had her surgery 6 years ago, but she's only just found out that she can apply. She rang them and is now getting a form back to get assessed. So she's not sure what's going to happen next. She did go back to work after surgery, but she gets very confused and forgets really simple things. So she's going to have to wait and see. But she didn't know for 6 years after surgery that this was even out there.
There are two types of benefits available. With the PIP, you get assessed on what we call daily living activities. And you also get assessed on your mobility. And I've actually got, so if any of your listeners want a copy of this, we've actually got a copy of the PIP descriptors. And what it is, it actually tells you what activities and also what points those activities will score on the application form. So if any of your guys want a copy of this, we can definitely let them have it, because it will really help when you're trying to fill in this form.
Yes, if you don't know what to say, I mean, you feel like you're scrounging. That's the
that's
point.
what feels so uncomfortable.
You feel like you're asking for money you're not entitled to.
Yeah.
They think you're
Yeah.
asking for money that you're not entitled to. So that's the opinion that I get. They think
Yeah.
everybody's a scrounger.
No, I know.
They should try having a brain tumour, then look.
Yeah, they'll know.
Because as you said, it's an invisible disability. When you walk in to the assessors, you look fantastic. You wouldn't know there's anything wrong with her. And because she talks and things, and occasionally she'd forget a word, or she'd forget what you've just asked, or the lady had just asked her. And she said, look, I'm really sorry, Claire. You obviously have got problems, but the things you've just filled in with me, you're not going to get
So go to
any
appeal.
help at all. When you get the no, appeal. But if I hadn't have gone to the Citizens Advice Bureau and been told about how to answer the question, not lying, we're not lying, we're just telling it as it is. And then we scored points that time round.
Do you cover the UK?
We do cover the whole of the UK.
I have got all your details.
Website,
Yeah.
www.debtreliefsolutions.biz.
I will make sure these are all on the websites, and it's got here, you use Facebook and things like that.
It is nice to know there's somebody out there that can give you a bit of advice, someone to hold your hand and go through it with you. Thank you very much for coming on and talking to us.
You've done a great job. Keep up the good work later.
Oh, thank you. Songs.
Thank you, Arlene.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
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 This is the Aunty M Brain Tumours talk show. It's a show full of informative chat and inspirational messages. The Aunty M Brain Tumours talk show on podcast.